everyone, welcome to Fishin, the podcast where I'm trying hard to suck less at Merfolk, and you're learning from my mistakes. My name is Kody, and you can find me on Twitter as @NotCodySmith, and also, we have my Tron playing co-host, Matt. How are you doing, Matt?
I am doing fantastic. I think I said it on Twitter this last weekend. One of these days, you're going to think we're going to talk fish, and I'm literally just going to hijack the podcast, and we're just going to talk Tron the entire time. It's going to happen.
We record on my computer. My computer is what records it, so I could just push the button to turn it off.
Yeah, but I'm just going to keep talking. This happens quite a bit. Kody will actually stop the podcast for a few minutes so we can talk off air, but I won't know this, so I'll just keep talking.
Yeah, it's funny, and he'll just continue his sentence, and I'll just be like, no, we're done. So where can we find you on the internet? Most likely.
I am at Matthew Caudill 8. The more followers I get, the more active I'm becoming on Twitter. I'm actually getting into Twitter conversations with people. Been a lot of fun interacting with you guys. So thank you for hitting me up. Continue to. Let's talk Magic.
Yeah, and we've got Masters 25 spoilers, which has been exciting, and Curse Catchers getting reprinted, so that's pretty neat for all of you guys that didn't have Curse Catchers. It was getting up there. It was like $10.
Yeah, well, and as Corbin said, Curse Catching is the worst Curse Catcher, so that's fun.
I actually backed him up on that in a Twitter conversation between him and Tolarian Community College, and I think Brian David Marshall was in there too, and they were they were kind of going back and forth about like, oh, well, Corbin said it's the worst, and then he's like, it is the worst.
He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong. And but anyway, we're on Patreon, where you can help fund us and help us do cool things. I've got really cool ideas in the work. I actually didn't even tell Matt, so I'll tell him afterwards, I guess.
Thank you.
And so, we actually got a new patron at patreon.com/fishcastmtg, and our new patron is Logan P.
Ooh, so, hi Logan, thanks.
Yeah, thanks Logan for supporting the podcast, and he's giving us $1 a month, which is, great. It's so great that we can actually pay our server costs with what we're making in Patreon. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Like, no, we pay way more than what we're getting. Maybe that'll get us more patrons.
Well, my wife doesn't have her new fridge yet, so that's that.
The stretch goal will be $1,000 to get Matt's wife a new fridge. But yeah, so Logan didn't post a question or anything, but he did help me with the random Merfolk cards. So, and remember to discuss with us on Twitter. We love talking about Merfolk. We love talking about Magic in general. Like Matt will go on and on and on about Tron, some sort of other tier 2 deck in Modern, and make sure to.
I'm more focused on Legacy right now. I'll be honest.
Make sure to tell a friend. Rate us on whatever podcatcher app thing you use to rate people. That really does help. It shows people that we're good, and it kind of pops us up in the search fields and all that. So we thank you for your support in any way that you can give it to us. Let's talk about the random Merfolk card.
Let's do it.
So I asked Logan how old he thought he was going to live to. Between 1 and 208 years. And considering he's older than 1...
I hope you said 208.
No, he didn't say 208. He gave
with the advances of modern medicine, it's entirely possible, Logan. You're selling yourself short.
Well, it's like in Parks and Rec. What's the guy's name? The city, the budget planner?
Aziz?
No. I am that man. Yeah. Oh,
awkward
gosh.
Silence and mumbling.
No, Chris Pratt. Yeah. You look it up. But anyway,
he
has
a really long time.
Yeah, no. So I'm gonna cut some of that out.
Oh no, I would. It's gold.
Okay. So he has a line in it that he says, "I'm going to be the scientists believe that the first man to live to be over 100 has been born today. I believe I'm that man. Yeah, Chris Traeger. Yeah, so he gets the flu and has like a total panic attack that my body is like a microchip. If even a speck of dust gets in it. and so Logan told me in confidence, and I'm spoiling that trust right now, that he believes he's going to be the first person to live to be 144. So I looked up the 144th Merfolk, and it's one of your favorite commander cards.
It's
Volrail of the Whole Clade. He's 1 green and a blue for a human Merfolk. So this could go in that humans list.
Can you really be a human Merfolk?
Well, in the story, he was a human, and then he evolved himself because he's in the Simic Combine. So he evolved into a Merfolk, but for some reason, he's still a human Merfolk. But he's a 1/4, and he has green-blue tap. For each counter on target artifact, creature, or land, put another of those counters on that permanent. So I mean, we've gotten better commanders for this.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of hit this a little harder when we did our commander Merfolk series, but he's crappy Atraxa essentially. If you're gonna play commander and he's going to be your commander, you just play Atraxa. She's much better. But I have seen him as a support card in decks like Atraxa. I think he's in the stock list, and other token based decks, and he's good. I mean, especially for 3 mana, he curves out really well in those kind of decks.
Yeah, and he blocks pretty well, on turn 3. He's also legal in Ravnica block standard.
Return to Ravnica block.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. And let's see here. It looks like there are 732 decks on EDH Rec for him, so I don't know if he's that great.
He's out of the 10 Dragon's Maze champions searching for the Goblet of Fire. I mean, he's like the second best. Is that a thing?
I don't know about that.
The Gruul one was the best.
Yeah, and then there was Tajik, Blade of the Legion, which is pretty baller. He becomes a 7/7 with Indestructible. I think that's pretty. It's very flavorful. It's very strong. Anyway, let's
real quick. I have to ask a question.
Yes.
So, human Merfolk. Would Kevin Costner in Waterworld be a human Merfolk?
Possibly.
He has gills.
It has been a while since I've seen that movie, but I don't see why not.
I'm just still trying to wrap my head around this human Merfolk thing.
Well, maybe we could get a talented artist out there to give us a Kevin Costner, Vorel the Whole Clade altar.
That would be fantastic.
I don't know.
Totally worth it.
I think I would have to build Vorel the Whole Clade or
absolutely.
Oh yeah, no, he would be a star player in the deck, like he was in Waterworld.
No, it would be one of those situations where somebody would be like, "Why are you playing Vorel as your commander? You just play Atraxa." I'll be like, "Dude, look at my altar. I got to shut this thing off. It's not getting shuffled in."
No, oh no, no. It's like you would use a checklist card for this.
Exactly.
So we're gonna go into the main topic that we're going to be discussing, and that is Merfolk in Standard. So we've had these cards out for a little while, and our first big Standard event was GP Memphis. I think it was the first Standard GP, right? Since this came out, because we had Pro Tour Rivals.
I believe so.
Because we had Pro Tour Rivals, and we had 2 Modern GPs.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had this one, which was Standard.
Correct. It was one of the biggest Standard events that's happened for a while. At least since Rivals of Ixalan and the bannings. So, and for those of you who've been listening to the show, I think the last time we talked Standard was definitely pre-bannings. And I believe it was actually, we were talking about Rivals and how Rivals might be changing Standard. So we are kind of touching new territory here.
Yeah, so now when we look at this GP top 8, so we had these bannings, right? We had a few decks that kind of lost a lot of steam. Ramanap Red kind of lost its steam. Uh, uh, I'm trying to remember what all the bannings were off the top of my head.
So it was Ramen Up Runes was banned.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was also Renegade Rallier.
Yep.
No, not Renegade Rallier. It was the Rogue Refiner.
Rogue Refiner, yeah.
Rogue Refiner. It was attuned with Aether,
Mm-hmm. And
and
there's that dinosaur that dealt
it,
damage.
that red dinosaur. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was four, right? I think that was it.
I believe so. Yeah.
Because it hit Ramen Red with two, and it hit Teamer Energy with two. But ironically enough, Energy is still alive and well. It's amazing what happens when you print a mechanic that can't be answered.
Yeah, and I mean we already discussed it both in we're gonna discuss it this episode, but we've also discussed it in the past where there should have been something that interacted with energy counters in some way, either removing them or like you can't spend energy this turn or something. I know that would have been hard to keep track of. Is it's something that basically doesn't exist. It's a something that's outside of the game that we've never had, and pretty much.
Flavor wise, I think weren't the Gremlins supposed to like be destroying artifacts and like sucking power? Like maybe that's like Red could have like sucked energy out, removed two energy counters or something. I don't know.
When
But
again,
yeah,
like
they missed the ball, whatever it was.
if I had my druthers, I think what I would have done would have been like green, blue, and red would have been like the energy producing colors. But then red, blue, and black would have been kind of like anti energy. And
Yeah,
red kind of being that swing color that does whatever it wants.
because it always is because it's chaos.
Yeah, because it's chaosy, and I think that would have been a better balance. And like if you had ways to go like remove an energy counter from target player or something like that would have been.
Or it might have been one of those things like remove target energy, add one color of any mana to your mana pool type thing. Like if you remove energy, you get an ability from it.
Yeah, and I think that like doing that would have kept this new purple mana in check. And anytime you print ways to pay for things without mana, it's broken.
Yeah.
So in this GP top 8, let's see here. We had 3 Grixis energy decks. So
Correct.
that's 3.
Mhm.
um,
And
yeah,
it finished the third and fourth were both Grixis Energy, and then somewhere in the 5 through 8 slot was the third. So they did very well.
oh yeah, no, like energy decks, and I'm even looking at the top 32 here as well, and I'm seeing lots of energy. Black red aggro, 4-color energy still.
Yeah.
It's just still around, and
Hmm.
any one of these decks could have made it. With the similar cards. We still have Harness Lightning is really
Yep.
big, and I mean we still have I mean we have a Braid which is huge in those same decks.
Yep.
So a lot of the energy decks are kind of based around red. So like I said, Grixis energy was
The snake is still there too.
yeah,
The,
Sultai Constrictor.
yeah.
That does play with energy a bit if I remember correctly.
It is. It's essentially energy deck.
Yeah. So then we also have classic standby Mardu vehicles. Turns out you just play lots of removal and you play vehicles and you turn them sideways and it's dumb.
So are we going on 2 years where Heart of Kieran's just a baller card in standard?
Yeah, that and I didn't actually have enough time to look through all the deck lists here, but I'm sure that Aethersphere Harvester is also a pretty big deal. It's a 3/5 flyer that crews for 1.
Well, one thing I love about it too is the new decks that Wizards printing, the $30 ones that everybody was freaking out over. How the vehicles one, they just went ahead and like 4 Heart of Kieran's in there. Why not?
Yeah, well, I mean, you only have a little bit of time with them, so might as well, shake things up a bit.
Yeah.
One thing that I actually side tangent here, I do like one thing I like about Magic Twitter is there's so many good people out there that like Saffron Olive and Pleasant Kenobi that are good to interact with, and Nikachu and Tolarian, like all these people, right? And it's gotten to the point that I don't have to follow all the super negative people, because there's all those people in Magic that are kind of negative, and
Yeah.
we've had some pretty high profile people kind of lose their status because of things they've said and all that, and we're not going to get into that. But I don't have to subscribe to those people, because all the good people will retweet that stuff for me. And there was one guy, we're not going to name names, but he was talking about how Wizards doesn't publish deck lists as much because they don't want people to net deck, but then they basically put out net decks.
Yeah, exactly.
And I thought that was kind of an interesting observation. But so
the net decking argument is the most moot thing in the world. Everybody has the internet. It's like when you see a new restaurant, what's the first thing you do? You Google it.
Yeah, you look up a review. You don't go into that restaurant blind.
Ooh, what if the restaurant's good? I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, anybody who cries about net decking, I mean,
yeah, if there was some sort of like elite ruling class that had the internet, and us poors down at the bottom like didn't have the internet, then that would be something worth
can I get some internet, sir?
Yeah.
Just a little internet.
Please, sir. And a braid, sir. So to round out this list, we had 2 blue-black control decks, which I know utilize God Pharaoh's Gift and Gate to the Afterlife and all that fun stuff, and all the Eternalized cards are really big in that.
Yeah.
And then the one standout that actually won was Andrew Tenja? Oh no, Tyler Schroeder.
I think it's just Schroeder.
Schroeder. I'm adding syllables. Tyler Schroeder
appreciates that.
Won with red green monsters. How cool
Yeah,
is
but
that?
this isn't that surprising. A lot of people were kind of expecting this red green monsters deck to be doing pretty well. Rekindling Phoenix is an insane Magic card.
Yeah.
It's definitely a standard all-star. And
Glorybringer's just good.
Yeah, well, and just real quick on the Phoenix, I think it has legs to potentially see some Eternal play.
Yeah, no, I definitely see that. I mean, this deck is just full of value. It's also full of Merfolk, which is pretty cool. Jade Light Ranger and Merfolk Branchwalker making solid appearances that kind of help dig you, past dead draws. Dig you
so
past
are we saying this is a Merfolk deck?
It's close.
We call it green Merfolk?
Yeah, they're green Merfolk.
No, this is red green Merfolk, not red green monsters.
It's red green Merfolk with some dragons.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Yeah, we'll call it that. So this is really cool though, because we have all these control decks. Grixis control, blue black control, these energy decks, and then just big dumb pieces of meat win. I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about this? I mean, with the bannings, I mean, and again, looking at the top 32 lists, we still have a pretty diverse meta. I think there was at least 30 different archetypes represented at this standard event, so that's a pretty solid number for.
Yeah, no, actually, I think Wizards got what they wanted with this. Energy is still good; it's still a thing, but it's not the only thing. And it didn't win.
Yeah.
We have a diverse meta, and it looks pretty good. It's still not perfect. I mean, three Grixis energies and 2 UB controls. I mean, Grixis energy is probably still one of the better decks in the format right now. And again, the mono red deck is still very good, even without Ramanop Ruins and the Raptor. So, but I think Wizards is close to fixing standard. It's not fixed yet, but it's definitely piqued my attention for the first time in years. I mean, we're talking probably the last time I even cared about standard was maybe Return to Ravnica standard.
Yeah, and I mean,
Theros standard was pretty good too.
Yeah, so I actually in accordance with the prophecy, the video series that I'm putting out next is with green blue standard Merfolk. And I outlined in that basically the last time I took standard very seriously was in Theros Khan's standard. I mean Khans of Tarkir, not or sorry, yeah, the first one of that block was Khans of Tarkir, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so it was basically like I played maybe a little into Fate Reforged, but then some family stuff came up and I had to kind of take a small break from playing Magic at the time, and basically
Well, and then
just
and also that's also when Standard went to $1,000 decks.
well, I mean I wasn't playing $1,000 deck, but
No, but I think by the time you stepped away from Standards, about the time when it also skyrocketed in price with
well that was like after
Magic
Origins.
Origins, and then Dragons came out with, and the Elder Dragons at the time were like 20-30 bucks a pop, and then Cocos were 15 or 20 at the time, and then Fetches were about 20 a piece. So
Yeah, and so I mean it was kind of an okay time to take a break. Even then I was playing Green White Soldiers, so it wasn't with Brimaz, King of Areskos, and Preeminent Captain. I wasn't doing anything broken anyway.
yeah.
But so Standard has been in kind of a lot of fluxes in a lot of ways, because up until Cons we had the 3 block sets, then we went to the 2, and then they changed the duration of those sets, right? They went to the 4 sets a year with no
Let's
core
just say
set.
it's experimenting.
They've been they Wizards went to college. They turned 22. They got off their parents' couch. They went to college and they experimented with some things, and they've got some great stories, to tell later when they're at the Elk Club, smoking their cigars.
They decided wearing shorts in the snow along with sandals and socks was a good idea.
And hopefully we're done with this fluxing, because it's kind of messed with a lot of things.
Yeah, it has.
And you can kind of tell that like certain things weren't meant to be with certain things, and now they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe we're done kind of changing the lengths of blocks and all that, and that'd be really great, because then we could kind of have a more predictable rotation schedules and all that, because for a long time nobody knew what was happening, and we still I think we get Dominaria before Kaladesh block rotates out.
I believe you're right. I'm going to be too lazy to actually Google it, so I'm just going to agree and have somebody yell at me on Twitter.
Well, so I'm going to go to the website what'sinstandard.com. And
Mm-hmm.
you think I'm joking, but that actually works.
So while you're doing that, one thing I do want to say is, so the Kaladesh standard probably is the low point in standard over the last at least 10 years, probably longer. And I love Kaladesh. I think it's a fantastic set. 1, because I like Eternal formats, and 2, because I like Commander. But when it comes to standard, it completely broke it. And Wizards is getting close to getting back to normal, but it's not there yet. Especially because one of the things that they've been trending doing recently is they create these super high powered cards that sell the set, but then everything else is kind of janky. And then also they have these really just out there mechanics that some just become duds, but some like energy just becomes super broken. And it seems like, especially with Ixalan, that they're starting to move a little bit away from that. And I hope they continue the trend of Dominaria.
Yeah, so same here. I think that printing, some stronger commons and uncommons will kind of help sell the set as a whole.
Which we saw with Silvergill Adept.
Yeah, no, I mean we had some great uncommons in this set, like that really helps synergistically with the decks that they go in, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So the way Standard's gonna work is in Q4 2018. So this would be course after core set 2019, or the set after core set 2019, whatever that is. We lose Kaladesh, Aether Revolt, Amonkhet, Welcome Deck 2017, and Hour of Devastation.
So we have these things for like another year.
Yeah, till the end of this year.
Yeah.
And then we will have a standard that is Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan, Dominaria, Core 19, and then
whatever the next set is.
And it says here that we have Ixalan and Rivals.
Come on, be an Ice Age set.
Yeah. We have after that we have Ixalan and Rivals of Ixalan until and Dominaria and Core 2019 until Q4 2019.
Yeah.
So
essentially, we have Kaladesh for like 2.5 years.
Yeah. So it's been
which
pretty...
is ironically because Kaladesh is like the biggest offender to the problem with standard.
Yeah. Well, so like I said briefly, I've been running through the games, and I actually probably got about 20 games ish overall over the last weekend, so I could kind of talk about it a little bit. I'm going to talk quickly about the list that I'm running. This is the same list that I'm running the league through, and so I think it's a pretty straightforward list. I don't think that there's a whole lot that I would change about it. There are some things that I don't like that I definitely would change. But starting with the creatures, we have 30 creatures because we're a tribal deck. We want to have a high creature density. So I'm running 4 Kumena Speaker, which is the 1-drop that becomes a 2-drop when you have an island or a merfolk. So it's Goblin Guide. Mistcloaked Herald, our boy, he's blue for a 1/1 merfolk that can't be blocked. And this guy has actually ended up being a house in the deck. Like, I'm going to get into Deep Root Elite next, but we've been able to stack up counters on this guy. And if they don't have removal, or it's damage-based removal, they're quickly outclassed and they can't deal with it. It's so great. Next is Deep Root Elite, which is 1 and a green for a 1/1 that puts counters on your merfolk. Then we have Merfolk Branchwalker. That's basically Silvergill 2. It explores, and so you can kind of get past dead draws. Merfolk Mistbinder, which is the Lord that we have in our deck here. 4 of Silvergill Adept. We're not going to not play Silvergill Adept. I'm running 3 Kumena, Tyrant of Erazka, which is basically a Planeswalker. Has all those abilities. And 2 Tempest Caller, which taps your opponent's field. And 1 Sea Floracle, which whenever Merfolk deal damage, you draw a card, which works really well with our Mistcloaked Heralds to draw us a few extra cards. I have 8 spells, 4 Spell Pierce, 2 Unsummon, and 2 Crashing. Well, not Crashing Tide. They're actually negates. I didn't change that out. Instead of Crashing Tide, I have negates. 22 lands, 4 Botanical Sanctums, the blue-green fast land, 4 Unclaimed Territories, 6 Islands and Forests, and 2 Haship Oasis. My sideboard is 2 Blossoming Defense, 2 Heroic Intervention, 2 Naturalize, 2 Nissa, Steward of Elements, 2 Shaper Apprentice, they're for flying matchups, 2 Kopala, Warden of Waves, and 2 River's Rebuke, and 1 Open into Wonder.
I mean, it seems pretty good. I mean, it's what I would probably play if I was playing Merfolk Standard right now.
It's been really good.
I mean, tweaks here or there, but it's like any other Merfolk deck. It's a Swiss Army knife. You can take one thing out here, put something in there. I mean, there's the few bread and butter cards you have to play sets of, but
yeah, and I think maybe I would cut back on Spell Pierce main. I would put in some more creatures, but
I don't know. The decks I was seeing that have been doing pretty well in Standard have 4 Unsummons.
Yeah, Unsummon has actually been really good. Like I said, I might switch to like 2 Spell Pierce and 4 Unsummon. But
since Alpha, Unsummon has been a sneaky good card. Like, people always think it's a garbage common because it's been around, and I mean, it's been printed like in almost every set since Magic's been around. But it does work. It's 1 blue, return target creature. I mean, and especially for an aggro deck like this, return target giant thing that's in your way.
Yeah, and it's been reprinted into the ground, but it has kind of dual utility where you can bounce your creatures back to your hand in case of wraths. I've actually there was a stretch in one game where I just kept drawing lands, and so I unsummoned my Merfolk Branchwalker so I could play it again, so I could hopefully get past another land, and I did. So
I feel like we need to write a like 90s boy band love ballad to unsummon. It's like the ugly girl, or you think she's ugly because she wears glasses and she's kind of poor, but you really looked into her soul and she's gorgeous. That's unsub. I see you, girl. I see you.
So like I said, I think uh, this deck, I think it doesn't have. Well, so what do you think? I mean, we didn't have any Merfolk decks in the top 32 of this GP. So I'm not saying that that necessarily means that Merfolk is dead, but what it does mean
No.
is
So Merfolk in standard right now is in a very similar situation, in my opinion, to Merfolk in modern. It's a viable deck. It's a fun deck. If you want to play it because you're gonna have a ball doing it. You're gonna win games. The problem you're gonna run into, and when we had Corbin on, he brought this up when we started talking about Merfolk and standard a little bit, is that there's so many broken things in standard right now that in Merfolk in standard goes wide very quickly, or it can, um, but it just doesn't matter. I think some of the bigger offenders are going to be one energy. It's still a problem. Uh, and the Scarab God is just a nightmare
oh god,
card.
it is. It is such a nightmare because I mean, one of the big hardest matchups that I had was Grixis energy, and the thing is they have all the removals,
Mm-hmm.
and they have ways to get back removal from the graveyard, and so they just kill all your things until they get a Scarab God, and then they start making 4/4 copies of your things, and it's nuts.
Yeah, no, Scarab God is just a ridiculous card. So, and I think it's neat. I think the play design is really good. I kind of like some of the other things, kind of like Emrakul, the one that got banned out. I think they thought they made a fair card, and all of a sudden, she's like, "Uh oh, what did we do?
Yeah.
Oh, we did again."
So
So,
so Grixis is kind of a bad matchup for us. Decks that do lots of life gain, so like the blue white approach decks are kind of hard to deal with,
yeah,
along with the cycling decks. So well, I guess that would kind of be blue white approach, the Drakehaven
yeah.
cycle decks.
But even like the Sultai Constrictor deck, Walking Ballista is going to be a nightmare for you, especially, and it plays Fatal Push, which is going to be a nightmare for you.
Yeah, I mean, Fatal Push is definitely a problem in the deck because
Yeah,
it kills the whole deck. It kills every single creature
yeah.
you have.
So,
And I mean, we can get through that. We're pretty creature dense, so if it's a deck that has light removal, but then also gains itself a bunch of life, then we're in trouble, unfortunately. And sometimes red deck wins can just get ahead of you. You know, they can
yeah.
get your creatures before you can make them bigger.
Mhm.
And so one thing that I put for good
But,
matchups
but
were
but I don't think Red Deck wins as an auto loss by any means.
no, and I'm gonna get into that in a little bit. So the decks that I think are almost like parity or favored matchups are creature decks. So even like vampires that go super wide with tokens, I honestly don't think it's that big of a problem.
Hmm.
Same thing with dinos. Like dinos are big, but dinos take a while to get to, and so dino decks generally don't run a lot of early removal. They run Hunt the Week, not Hunt the Week. The oh yeah, Hunt the Week. Hunt the Week's in the standard. So they run Hunt the Week, and they run there's that Dino one that deals damage, uh, and the cost is reduced if you have a dinosaur. I'm gonna get yelled at for not knowing all these names, but uh, so the removal is okay, but your merfolk get bigger. You play lords, you play uh the deep root elite that makes your guys bigger, and you can if the game goes long, you can kind of grow with them and have big
Hmm.
enough merfolk. Um, and so kind of my conclusions with my testing, which is not exhaustive. I did not do nearly enough to proclaim the gospel truth that Merfolk is sneakily the best deck in standard, but I do think that except for these blue black and Grixis decks, that it doesn't have terrible matchups. It definitely has unfavorable game ones, which is bad.
You're not going to be going into a match and just auto losing.
Yeah, no, you have a chance. And even in the match that I lost to Grixis, I won game 1 because I was able to just, go.
Wait a second. So you're saying you can have fun?
Yeah, yeah, no, like if you
Wait,
go,
so you're having fun with a game?
yeah,
You're doing it wrong.
probably I'm doing it wrong. Um, and it's one of those decks that it does do a lot of things. It draws a lot of cards. It has big dumb creatures and it attacks for a lot. And so it does a lot of things that good decks do. But the thing is it's just not quite there. Like you said, there's energy running around that nobody can interact with. There's just really big control decks that do super dumb things like God Pharaoh's Gift. And just
And big stupid Scarab God.
yeah, God, Scarab God is the bane of my
So,
existence.
so our last time we talked about standard was pre-bannings, and my conclusion was essentially, I think this deck could be something. I don't think it can be right now because energy is too good. But hold on, when energy finally rotates and we have Dominaria, which will probably have some cool new goodies that'll really help out Merfolk, this maybe become a tiered deck. Unfortunately, my conclusion really hasn't changed,
Yeah.
even with bannings. I mean, we still have energy, and again, not just now that Teamer energy's gone, the Scarab God who was good before just seems like a bigger, badder. I'm not allowed to cuss anymore, so fill in a blank for me.
Fishin.
Mother fishing guy.
Yeah. So and one other thing to note about this deck is right now in paper, the list that I have, if you were to go to TCG Player right now, it's $167.83, which is not expensive compared to a lot of the stuff that's running around out there. And if you stay out of the Kaladesh stuff and the Amonkhet stuff that's going to rotate, then you're even better. Because
from your list, I mean, the only money cards in there are really Kumena and the Botanical Sanctums.
Yeah, Deeperly is kind of up there, kind of. But I mean, Botanical Sanctum and Kumena are the reasons that the deck is expensive. But if this deck jumps, after we get two more sets, which by the way, they're Merfolk in both core sets and in Dominaria, like we could be seeing a much better deck.
Sure.
And all these pieces will be way more expensive.
Yes. Now Kumena, for those who are a little gun shy about buying them, it's going to be a good standard card, and there's slight potential it could see some eternal play if green blue Merfolk continue, tropical Merfolk continue. So I think it's a fair buy. I mean, when it rotates, you're going to take a little bit of a hit, but I don't think you're going to get raked across the coals on that one. And then Sanctums, I mean, are just a fair bet. I mean, it's a green blue fast land, so it's seen eternal play now, and it's always going to. So if you want to buy those now, it's easy money. Yeah, I mean, you might take a little bit of a hit, but in 5 years, it's going to be probably double what it is right now.
Yeah, and to be fair, Botanical Sanctums will always be played. I mean,
yeah,
it's in the blue-green deck in Modern, so honestly, I mean, you're going to take a little bit of a loss if you buy them now, but they are going to be useful forever, and they will get more expensive than they are now. I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
So, all in all, it's a cheap deck. Online, the deck is 47.91 ticks, so again, it's really cheap. It's really cheap. And again, you're buying a lot of the parts for Modern. So, I mean, basically a lot of this goes into Modern. Kumena Speaker, Merfolk Branchwalker, Merfolk Mistbinder, Silvergill Adepts. You're buying a lot of a Modern deck too. So
Spell Pierce.
I mean, I don't think we run the Botanical Sanctums, definitely. You're buying
Forest.
the most powerful card in Magic, the basic island.
Yeah, don't get me started there.
Especially if you get snazzy white-bordered 7th edition islands like I play on Moto.
Ooh.
So
I appreciate that. Speaking of which, and I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here. I really think you need to get, for your modern deck, foiled out Lord of Atlantis from what, 7th edition? The really cool looking one?
Those are like 80 a piece, though.
82.
82.
But man, they're so cool. Like, you should at least get one. He could be the Lord of the Lords.
The Lord of Atlantises?
The Lord of the Lords of Atlantis.
Yeah, I do like that art a lot better, but he is hanging around in the 80s range.
And he always will be.
Yeah, he will. He will. I think maybe if he gets reprinted in Masters 2015 or 25 for some reason, I would hope that they would use that art.
They'll never use that art. Just same thing with the Birds of Paradise from that time period.
Oh yeah,
which is like one of the best birds arts.
It's a shame because that really is the best art.
7th edition. I mean, we're way out in the woods now, but I'm going to keep going. 7th edition, they completely changed all the classic art of the cards, and they all looked great. But then, like when it came to 8th edition, they changed it all again. And then either they went back to the original, like revised art, or they kept with the 8th edition plus. But 7th edition is just a weird blip on the radar, but it was great.
Oh yeah, no, I think like I said, there's lots of great art from that set and whiteboarded. Oh man, I do love playing.
But when they're foiled, they're not whiteboarded.
Yeah, they're blackboarded, which is if you want a cool piece of magic knowledge to stump your friends with. Yeah, all the whiteboarded stuff. If it was foil, it's not foil. It's blackboarded. But
so the only way to get the really bad Fishin, bleep me, sorry, Lord of Atlantis, bad Bast, Lord of Atlantis in black border is to get the foil.
Yeah,
or to get a Sharpie.
Yeah, or get a Sharpie, or those inner sleeves that have the black around the edge. I forgot who made those, but I saw them in one of the professor's videos. Talk to us online. Tell us exactly how wrong we were about Standard and about Volrail the Holclade, and tell us exactly how to fix ourselves, because we're both kind of new to this Standard world, and we're still learning. So I'm sure there's people of you.
Standard was a jolted lover that hurt us both in the past, but we're tipping our feet back in the water, our toes back in the water, to see if we want to give her another shot. Because even I'm considering Standard right now, especially with Dominaria, because my old butt is super excited about that. And if Dominaria is as cool as I think it's going to be, I'm my old bass. I can't wait.
So remember to talk to us on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook as @FishCastMTG. I am not Kody Smith on Twitter. That's Kody with a K. And Matt?
I'm Matthew Caudill 8.
And if you have a long form question or want to discuss anything with us that could take longer than a Twitter conversation, feel free to contact us at fishcastmtg@gmail.com. Our cover art was made by Tessa and Hunter Pruitt. Again, thank you so much to you both for making that for us. We would not look nearly as professional. It's much better than what I had drawn up, and I used an Etch-a-Sketch.
Impressive.
Yeah. It was pretty impressive for my college sophomore level of art. If you like what we're doing here, please rate and subscribe on whatever platform, more platforms than you use. Like if you don't use Spreaker, we've actually gotten some followers on Spreaker. I don't know how that happened. Like,
sweet.
It's really weird, but sure, follow us. Maybe it's people thinking that we're like an actual fishing podcast.
If you're looking for an actual fishing podcast and you've made it this far, thank you.
And if you're looking for an actual fishing podcast and you made it this far, please consider supporting us on patreon.com/fishcastmtg. The best way to subscribe and help keep the lights on around here. It helps. Even $1 a month helps us out in the best way possible. Thank you so much for your time, for listening to us, and we will see you next week.
Have a good week, guys. I think we're actually on time this week. That's a miracle.